What do you get when you cross a know-it-all newspaper columnist with an awkward, unsophisticated everyman?
Yeah. Well, I'm just not sure about that right now.
Welcome to Couch and the Roo.
Welcome to Couch in the Roo, presented by Skyman Premium Cannabis, inspiring people to look better, love better, mostly feel better every damn day of their lives. And our Sunday night show is brought to you by our friends Mark and Jay at North Coast Wealth Management. If you have investment questions, and I know a lot of people do right now, Mark and Jay are here for you. Give them a call, 248-626-2000. That's 248-626-2000. You can email Mark and Jay at North Coast Wealth Management at info@northcoastwm.com. Learn more at northcoastwm.com. A lot of questions about what's going on in the markets. Mark and Jay are here to help get your money working for you and make the right decisions based on your goals and need. Jason, how you doing, man?
Oh, my God, we won the lottery!
What's up, buddy? What a weekend. Unbelievable. Golf, you cruel bitch. Whew. Hell of a weekend, but I got a little too greedy with Willie Z at the end there. But
Happens.
What a tournament. Anyway, we'll get into that too, but I'm just exhausted mentally from everything that's been going on since we did the show yesterday.
It's been an incredible sports weekend.
Yeah.
It really has, and I'll get into that, and we're going to get into that in our hot takes and yours as well. Before we do all that, the most money of anybody I know personally winning gambling happened this weekend. And I don't even barely know Jordan.
Well, this was my first hot take. It's pretty slim pickings.
Gotcha. So instead of Carbon Electra's hot, let's go with this. All right, let's lead off with you and your first hot take.
Well, stick with that. What is the most amount of money? You've gambled for a long time. What is the most money you've ever watched someone else make? One of your friends. Maybe not even a friend. Maybe someone just witnessed in person or.
Yeah, I've seen people gamble or win, in the teens of thousands that I kind of know a little bit, but not really well. In terms of my close friends, really, it's me, unfortunately.
Well, we all know my friend Jordan. He is the Michigan fan that listens to this show somehow, and he won $100,000. Actually, $115,000 if you count today's Tampa Bay Lightning's -1.5 bet.
He won this on blackjack.
Most of it. A lot of it was, I would say probably, 20-some K was sports betting. But then he took that. He was staying with a couple of buddies because one of the guys had a wife out of town. So you know what that means. Cat's away, the mouse will play, whatever. So they were hanging out. Those two guys passed out. He stayed up, and he's been known to play blackjack at this nosebleed kind of stakes. Not to this level.
And this is online blackjack.
Yes.
Which I don't trust at all usually.
I would trust it.
Apparently so.
It seems like it's where someone has the.
I guess I'll be down.
Has it all figured out. Yeah.
I guess
the
I'll be on
Firekeepers iCasino.
Yeah, we'll be on that tonight trying to
took
replicate.
him for $100K. Sorry, Firekeeper. So he stayed up. Now he's had multiple swings like this, and he sent me because he stays up way later than I do because I'm old as hell. So I go to bed at 11:30, and all I do is I see screen grabs of just the next morning. I wake up this morning and there's screen grabs galore of all this shit. And of course, I'm not going to, I skim through while you're on the toilet taking the morning piss or whatever. And I'm like, okay, I'll figure out whatever. Because you can't really figure out. It's so choppy to figure out how much he actually won. He's sending me bank statements with like $45,000 that he's deposited in his bank account. And then, so he ends up waking up out of his slumber around 10:30 this morning. And he starts showing me bank statements and what is being deposited in his bank, and it's like $90,000. I'm like, wait a minute, you fucking won $90,000? What are you, like, Rain Man of motherfucking DraftKings sports app? I mean, like, how does this happen? And how are you still like in where you're living? Like, let's go somewhere, man. Let's just So anyway, he was nice enough. Now, so he's on a heater with hockey as well. And so he gives myself and the two guys that he was with last night $100 each. He said, "Here, put it on Tampa Bay -1.5." And so it's an alternate line that you have to get. It wasn't a line that was provided like on the front page, so you had to dig for it. And I'm kind of like, I kind of want the 100, but these guys know hockey. So I put 100 on it. If you watch the game, Tampa Bay covered that easily. 5-1. So now he's up to 115,000 because he put 6,000 on that game, I believe. Six grand to win 15,000.
How much was he betting a hand on blackjack?
The screen grabs he sent me 2 times were 16,000. Well, it was an $8,000 hand, which turned into a double down, it resulted in 16,000. I mean,
I couldn't do it.
It's video game shit, like numbers and stuff, and obviously, and we've talked about it, Jordan and I, like if the chips were in front of you, you wouldn't be making $8,000 bets. I don't know. I watched him in Vegas for a little bit and heard stories there because I went to bed again that time too that he won. So maybe he would bet that much, but I mean, $8 grand. I mean, the swings I can't handle, like especially not without drinking anymore. There's no fucking way I could gamble like that ever. When I was drinking and Jägermeister was flowing, I could pull the trigger on some of those bets. Would I have won? I don't know. I don't know what his secret was. Should he be teaching blackjack courses online or something to crush the sports book? So that was his last 12 hours.
Blackjack is too much a game of chance. I'm not saying there's not some skill and feel and whatever momentum and whatever, but it's a game of chance.
Now here's the other part. Now when you hear that your friend won $100,000, what goes through your head? Don't lie. There has to be. I'll answer for you. There's a little bit of jealousy.
Okay.
Right? There's a little bit.
Yeah.
We have to be honest with each other. When your friend, I am extremely excited for him. But a part of me was like, oh, man, goddamn, 100,000. But it takes me 2 years to make that shit.
I am happy to hear the way he won it, though. Let me tell you this. The reason there's no jealousy is it took him doing something I would never do to win it.
Correct.
So if you win it, like we talked about before, that time when there was a line for neither the Patriots or the Rams to score a touchdown in the Super Bowl, and like $250 paid $77K, and I didn't take it. And then in the fourth quarter, neither team had scored a Super Bowl yet, and I'm like forever going to say okay, because that's not an unreasonable amount of money for peace of mind. Or if he'd won a 16-team parlay, that's like okay, that maybe that's a.
But you have to have a gut feel on that no touchdown bet,
right?
I mean, you don't really want to root for that, but you're right. If you have a gut feel and you're like shit. That's why golf gets you in trouble. Though.
But when it's 16,000, it's just something I can't relate to because even in my darkest days of late 20s, having a little too much on the line sort of stuff, I was never in that ballpark.
But it never
do it.
It never gets to those nosebleed stakes because if you get an amount to where you could turn it into 16K, you go, I'm going to take a little bit off the top and kind of dance with another 500 or something, but nothing like that.
Yeah,
right.
Correct.
So bravo. Here you go, Jordan. You made the podcast another time.
Well done.
And I think that he's really happy that we're talking about him about this topic. But and by the way, here's another funny thing. So he won over $100,000 on this app, DraftKings, right? And I know that Firekeepers, the iCasino app, would never do this because they have a better point reward system. They have to. Graham, he won over $100,000, $1 million transferred back and forth, right? They count that. They give you a point for every whatever dollars spent. They give you like 2%, 0.002%, some crazy shit. So he won over $100,000. How many DraftKings points do you think he earned?
I have no idea.
Just take a guess.
I don't know. 2,000.
300.
That's ridiculous.
Free Uber.
You can't even get a free Uber with 300 fucking DraftKings points.
Yeah.
Are you shitting me? If he was in a regular casino, he would have like the top floor executive suite. They would be stopping a private plane because they didn't want him to leave. When you hit that many digits, 6 digits you're taking away from like an app like that. And good, fuck these apps, by the way. You sit there and you can't get your bank to correspond with these things, and everything's so hard to get your money out.
He's not talking about you Firekeepers.
No, the Firekeepers one is the best one that I've used. I'm talking about the other ones that I've had to deal with. It's like, what is your guys' problem? Anyway, 300 DraftKings points.
Okay. All right, I'm going to get into my first take. And I'm going to go a little MSU basketball because I wasn't originally my first take, but it's where a lot of people's heads still are, and I noticed this on the hot takes and obviously Twitter questions. So I'll get into it a little bit. And I've noticed a little bit of I don't want to say a turn in
Oops, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
Okay, I've noticed a little bit of, I don't want to say turn in thought, but I've noticed there are more people still curious about this team. There are still people suspect as heck over what's happening, concerned that Tom Izzo isn't taking the right care of the program, doesn't have it headed to the expectations he's created, and I get all that. My thing would be this. Before there is panic, let Tom Izzo not get to a Sweet 16 in 3 straight NCAA tournaments, which has only happened once in his career, right? Let's go more than 3 seasons removed from a Big Ten title.
Don't coach my team.
Which we're not right now. Like, I like this roster. I think it's a tremendous risk what he's doing at the center position. I do. But I think he's doing what he thinks is best to win this coming season and beyond. I don't think it's being done out of a spite or anything like that. Now, we can all disagree with the philosophy or strategy or whatever you want to say. But I see, when I look at this MSU basketball team, I do see the potential of a contender in what I think is going to be a weaker Big Ten, but a team that I think could develop into one that has the goods to make a tourney run. And look, shit has to go right in development. Has to go right with Jaden Akins. Malik Hall has to be the player. You can't have Joey Hauser in his head for half the year. You know, the A.J. Hoggard has to take that next step. Jackson Kohler's got to be somebody who they, at least gives you something as a freshman. And there's a lot to ask sometimes as a freshman. I think he's going to be an intriguing player. Mady Sissoko, obviously, they're betting that he's going to be serviceable. And that's got to happen. But shit was going to have to go right. That was the case whether they brought in a big man or not. The question is whether not bringing in a graduate center, at whatever mediocre ability that would have been, because I think bringing in a center with a lot of years left could have been a problem on the roster and recruiting. But the question is whether it's negligence, and I don't think it is because I think Izzo has thought this through, and now he's got to prove he's right, which he can't do until next winter. So there can be a lot of angst. There's just no way to calm or answer or to that angst until next winter. If I were him, I would have added a warm body, preferably one that could play basketball in the post. But I am as intrigued as hell by this season and this smaller rotation. And I've covered college basketball now full-time since 2005-06, I think. Like 17 seasons. And at different levels, I covered the MAC and Kalamazoo when I covered Western Michigan.
No kidding.
Yeah. There have been various years that I've been sort of intrigued and excited to watch that team play all year. And there have been other years I've been like, yeah, well, it's going to be a winter. I'll do the job, This is one of those years, and I would say there are 7 or 8 of them in 17 years where I have been really intrigued by watching a team play and really curious to see what it can become and think it has the chance to be something. And that's just my gut. That's just my instinct. That's the way I am. What excites me is the type of – I love college basketball and the type of basketball I'm going to watch all year and what a team can become. And I enjoy – like one of the things I don't like about Tom Izzo as a coach is how many players he sometimes plays. I don't enjoy that. I'm not saying it doesn't help him. There are times that it's proven to really work late in seasons, and it's proven that they can wear teams down. But it's not something I enjoy. Like, it would drive me nuts as a player. So I enjoy that this roster is going to be counter to that for him. So there's a lot of things I'm actually really intrigued about. Again, I would have done something different at the center position. I don't think he's doing this out of any sense of complacency, giving up on things, spite towards the transfer portal. He brought in too many transfers over the years. Way too many transfers. Guys brought in like 10 transfers.
But we've talked about how unhappy he is with the NCAA. So maybe it isn't solely with the transfer portal or name, image, and likeness, but maybe the NCAA as a whole.
The man is a competitive son of a bitch. He's not going to try – like if
but that makes you competitive. If you think you're going to do it your way, that makes you competitive.
That's fine,
right?
but yeah, sure. But he really thinks he's going to do it. It's not him saying, he may be wrong, and he's going to have to prove it. And I think this is a year a little bit where there is reason. I mean, look, I'm telling you, I would have done it. I would have added a body.
Yeah.
I don't know how good a body you could have added. And there are and I think what makes this more difficult for people to get excited about the roster is this option exists to add a body. Like, if this was the team it was 10 years ago, people might have gone, well, that could be interesting. That could be okay. But I think everybody's hung up on this disagreement they have with the way he's going about the roster, or not everybody, but some people.
But percentage-wise, who are those people? Right?
No, I think it's a fairly large percentage of reasonable people, many of whom are our listeners.
And they're hung up on it because they respect Izzo and the Hall of Fame jacket that he wears. But, I mean, if we're going to sit there and we're going to be fans, we have to be able to ask questions.
Absolutely. And
it does not put me in the category of I want Izzo out of here.
And they're worried because they have seen a stubborn old man once before fall. And you know what I mean?
Very
like
true.
This is partly on D'Antonio. There's no
some
question.
PTSD with that, yes.
Yeah, and so that's what happened. Like so I get that 100%. And even though they're two different people, and I think they're wired differently, Izzo's going to look. The bottom line is we're going to know whether Izzo was right or whether he was wrong. If it shows up and Jackson Kohler is putting up is a Nick Ward style freshman who people just want to see play a lot, and Mady Sissoko is really a serviceable defender and rebounder who gives them an edge of toughness and whatever for 15, 17 minutes a game. And then you've got Hauser in there playing 10 minutes a game small. Like, that works. That's great. If it winds up that Mady Sissoko has got 3 fouls in 2 minutes every game, and he's falling for pump fakes, and he can't protect you at all at the rim, against quality bigs, and you're asking too much of a freshman, no matter how intriguing he is, and then Joey Hauser's playing too many minutes out of position defensively, then he was wrong. And I'll be the first to criticize him for that. But I do think I just think it's different than D'Antonio a little bit, and I just think there has been too much that's gone right. And if you really go back and look at the history of how many years he's gone at times without a Big Ten title, without a Sweet 16, there have been other things like this. There just haven't been a way to correct it through the transfer portal, and it feels like he's not doing it. I would say, though, that the number of transfers he's brought in, from Brandon Wood to Aaron Harris to Tyson Walker, guys that when he thought there was a need. At center, when he brought in Ben Carter because he thought there was a need. The fact that he's not doing it this year, I think he's trying to find a workaround to build a roster, to build roster continuity, and he thinks he can develop guys. And we'll see. Anyway, that I don't know how to take that is. That's just something I've been thinking about this weekend. What is your second hot take?
Does Jean Van de Velde, does that name ring a bell at all, Graham?
I don't know who the fuck that is.
1999 British Open, if you remember, Jean Van de Velde had a couple-shot lead going into the 18th hole. And Mito Pereira today had the same. And, of course, I had Mito to win the tournament. Could have won another $120, it would have been great. Up one shot on the par 4 18th. You pretty much could have hit a 4-iron twice and got it on the green and putted to just make pars. That's all you had to do. Mito put the drive into the drink. Now, is there any way Mito, he was kind of acting a little fine with it, but after the tournament, you have to be like, how do you bounce back from something like that? I mean, Van de Velde, you never really saw him ever again. They had a documentary, I think, that came out 2 years ago about him. But honestly, if you do something like that where you puke on your shoes and lose the PGA Championship like that, I don't know how you come back.
The only way you do it is to come back quickly, right? It's like you got to be in the next major or one of the other majors this year. It's like, oh, wow, that guy's back there. He's for real.
Just play tomorrow.
Yeah,
just get it out of your system.
Well, I'm not just saying that, but I'm saying is you got to be in contention again. And you got to have things go differently.
But can you get over that hump again? Can you ever contend? I mean, winning a golf tournament
is hard.
Is really hard. I understand everyone was goofing that because John Daly, the look of him, and he finished better than Dustin Johnson and yada yada. But you still have to be an athlete. I understand John Daly maybe isn't the pinnacle of health, but to win a golf tournament, shoot four rounds under 70, that's crazy.
Yeah, no, and a guy like that who hasn't really been in contention before, right? He has.
And Tiger Woods withdrew for the second time in his career after the third round, shot a 79. His team basically said, listen, you're not going to win this thing, so why play it? But my concern is with Tiger Woods, is he really going to contend ever again? Now, what he's doing is miraculous. Don't get me wrong. But it's getting to the point where it's kind of like, oh, man, I don't know if you want to see any more of this.
He's just got to get his leg right. And I don't know if he can, but what I mean is,
will it ever get right?
But you got to take the time you need. If you need to not come back till next year and have more rehab, and
those years are piling on, though. How many years can you sit out for? Right? I mean, he wants to try to chase Jack's.
But this wasn't a sit out year. He got some good work in this year, and he showed he can still be competitive. And,
Do not get me wrong; it's
healthy.
amazing what he has done and overcome to get to this point. I'm just saying, at least let the man have a walking stick. I mean, John Daly rides a cart. Why couldn't Tiger ride a cart?
Well, in the Open this year is at St. Andrews, right? So he's going to play.
Oh yeah.
And
he'll play these things. I think he would have finished the fourth round. That is, if his team wasn't like, don't do it. If he was maybe 5-6 shots back, he would have definitely finished that round.
Yeah. No, I don't know. He was looking pretty horrible for a while.
Right.
I mean, it was.
That's why they shut it down.
Yeah, I mean, it was hard to watch. I'll be honest. It was like, I don't know.
But that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I mean, how much more of this do we actually want? We want Tiger out there, but do we want him to finish his career hobbling off the course?
No, we don't. We'd like him to have one more renaissance, one more moment, and the sort of thing you got in that Masters in 2019. Yep. My second hot take. So watching the final day of the Premier League, with every game going off at once.
Oh, my God. You on Twitter today. Holy shit.
With so much on the line. A title for Man City and Liverpool. A Champions League place for Arsenal and Tottenham. To avoid relegation for Leeds and Burnley. It was the coolest 2 hours of sports I've experienced since probably the Bills-Chiefs playoff game. That was just incredible. I mean, that was as good as anything I've experienced in a long time. And one of the things that made me realize is American sports should look for ways to emphasize the regular season without diminishing the playoffs. Because it was just so incredible. What was on the line for so many different teams in different situations. Now, like the Supporters Shield in MLS, which means it goes to the team that has the best regular season record, is something that they could use in other sports. Like, that's a big deal. You don't win the championship, but like nobody. When the Seattle Mariners won 121 games or whatever it was 20 years ago and then lost in the playoffs, people look at that team as a complete failure. If there was something at the end of baseball, the regular season, that was a pretty significant trophy, essentially, that you were looked on, you had the best in the sport, that finding a way to bring meaning to the regular season. And maybe with the NBA and NHL playoffs, and this is thinking way out of the box, and I'm not going to do this, but have a 2-round bye. If you're the best team in the Eastern Conference, the best team in the Western Conference, you get a bye to the Eastern and Western Conference finals. Think how important those games would be late in the year. Now, you'd have to find a way financially to have revenue sharing to make up for those home games lost for those teams, and there'd be some money lost and all that stuff. But and baseball needs it more than anything, because it's the season isn't the playoffs aren't at all representative of the season. You play so many games for especially now that the playoffs have been expanded. You got to find ways to bring meaning to the regular season, and we got to have that conversation. You're not going to have relegation, but in the NBA, especially where you got guys taking 20 games a year off, we've got to have that conversation. How do we? What I witnessed today was fucking outstanding, and that should be something that every sport strives for at the end of their season. And you're not going to have relegation in American sports. And in the NBA with the teams that are trying to get the play-in versus the playoffs and all that stuff, you have a little bit of what the equivalent of the Champions League and all that stuff, the next group of teams. But what about that number one seed that doesn't mean something to somebody? How do you really make that meaningful? In hockey, it's hard because the number one seed loses most years. In hockey, the regular season's fucking meaningless, largely. And that's always driven me nuts, that the years that the bottom 4 teams in the Eastern Conference, or the bottom 4 seeds in the playoffs in the Eastern Conference, all win against the better teams. Like, that should never happen, and it would never happen, at least in the NBA. Anyway, that is, maybe there's some financial incentives, because there are, certainly for the clubs in the Premier League. I'm going to do my third take off this before we get to yours real quick.
Oh, please do.
One thing I will say, though, is American sports can always also improve the Brits, and even as a British descent. And there is no reason today, once they knew what games impacted what other games, that you couldn't have split those up into multiple windows. And I get that it's tradition to have all the games go off at once, and they've always done it that way. But there's no reason you couldn't have had the relegation games that mattered to relegation early, Leeds and Burnley, those 2 games going off in the early window, have Arsenal and Tottenham, their 2 games going off in a later window, and then at the end, the Liverpool and Man City games. Once you knew Everton wasn't part of that mix to be relegated, their game against Arsenal no longer needed to be played simultaneously with the relegation games. Like, you be smart. In American sports, we do that. We have flex windows and all that stuff. Grow up. Understand that that's what you need to do. Don't say we've always done it this way. That's what 70-year-olds say when they're still working in the newspaper business and they don't understand why they're getting laid off. Like, you got to change, and you got to do things that just make sense. That's my third take. You can improve it like today by doing that, and it pisses me off when something so logical doesn't happen. Anyway, what's your third take?
Why are you going after 70-year-olds in the newspaper biz,
I
man?
apologize.
Jesus. Adley Rushman plays for the Orioles. He was called up from AAA, which is a big deal as a catcher. I think he was like a top 5 pick. But my point is this. I'm watching on Twitter every step of the way. Adley Rushman walking into the locker room for the first time as a Baltimore Oriole. Here's Adley Rushman coming out to this, it's like coming out of the dugout. It's like, we know, we've seen everything. Can the guy just have a fucking moment by himself? And speaking of, do you guys have a wedding video?
We didn't. We did not do a video.
Okay, because Treese wants to get a GoPro for this Mexico trip.
I love that this is your second part of this third hot take.
Yeah, because here was my thing. I want to go.
You want moments to yourself.
No. Well, yeah, because, I mean, people, listen, the wedding is going to be where all the pictures are taken and all of this stuff, right? But we're just going on a couple excursions and we're going to be like scuba diving. Do we need a camera? Like, when will you ever be at home 20 years from now and go, hey, honey, why don't you put on that tape from us in Mexico? Remember when you freaked out because you thought you saw a shark? It'll never happen.
Some of
wedding photos, yes, because you put them in your living room. I'm never going to go through the wedding album. I will never, ever do that. Will you go through some photos? I don't know, maybe. But, I mean, what? Really, we have to have GoPros on everything? And everyone at this fucking golf tournament today had their phone up. Can you just, for 1 second, like, what are you going to do with all of these golf shots from these guys? Yeah, it's cool. You're there. Take a picture, put that shit on all platforms. I don't care. But you have to record. People that go to concerts and record the whole fucking concert. What do? You go home and upload it on YouTube so 32 views can watch it? Great. So instead of watching the concert, soaking it all in, and having a good time, you held up your phone for fucking 3 hours. I don't see any point in it. We're
really bad at being present, no doubt. Here's my wedding advice. And this is somebody who, like, the photographer is much more important. The quality of the photographer is more important. And we hired 2 photojournalists because I like capturing things that aren't just all staged. And a lot of times when you do the pairing, when you get the I've had buddies who they offer the video service, and if you get the person with the video service, the photog kind of sucks. Anyway, so that you first
How
of all,
do you suck though?
When
you're taking photos. What makes someone suck, I think, is they put you in weird positions and make you take photos that you don't want.
It's the candid shots you want, and like my buddy Jonathan, who shot was our second shooter on our wedding. He didn't want the pressure being the main shooter. His stuff was so amazing. He's one of the best photographers in the country. He won the Virginia Photographer of the Year 3 straight years. I knew him at the Kalamazoo Gazette when I lived there. Just unbelievable photographer. The moments he captured. And when you're ugly like you and I are, right? Yeah. When you look like you and I are, you don't need every second on video. You don't need that shit because it doesn't make us look good. It makes us look real. We don't want what's real. What a great photographer at a wedding does is you look back and you're like, that's a great moment, and I look good in that moment. You don't need the video if you're ugly. If you're ugly, you do not need video.
You don't need a video even if you're good looking, right? Because you know you're good looking. You don't have to watch that shit. I just don't know. How many people go back and watch their wedding video 5 years from now?
Probably a lot.
No way. Not dudes. I hope dudes wouldn't want to sit there and watch that shit again. I could see women want to get together and like, oh, yeah, because you didn't get to see my wedding. Here you go. But how many dudes? Maybe some dudes you know. I don't know. Anyway, no GoPro. Come on. Can't we just go snorkeling? Just have that as a memory?
All right, let's take a really quick break here. When we come back, we will dig into your hot takes. Some outstanding stuff, as always, from you guys. You guys delivered, and you guys are better than us. We should probably lead with yours and then finish with ours.
Fuck that.
No,
I have nothing at the end of the show.
That's a really good point. Couch in the Rube, presented by Skyman Premium Cannabis and Mark and Jay in North Coast Wealth Management.
Firekeepers Online Casino and Sportsbook is the site to play. Get your Vegas on right now from your phone, tablet, or laptop. All the hottest slots and tables, plus sports betting featuring in-game wagering. Download the app at firekeeperscasino.com. Go with the name you know. Firekeepers. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 or older and located in Michigan. Gambling problem? Call the Michigan Problem Gambling Helpline at 1-800-270-7117. Where else can you cheer on your team? Enjoy a mouth-watering burger or savory sushi. Sip on handcrafted cocktails or one of 46 beers on tap. Take your game day or date night to Cask & Company Kitchen Bar or Front 43 Neighborhood Pub near Frandor. Two amazing places with one awesome blended modern American Asian menu. Catch the game on one of 30 60-inch TVs or stop in for the all-you-can-eat lunch buffet. Enjoy happy hour or elevate your night out at Cask & Company or Front 43 on East Saginaw in Lansing. Wherever you are on your cannabis journey, let Sky Mint Premium Cannabis be your guide, your friend, and your place. Whether you're curious about cannabis or a seasoned connoisseur, Sky Mint's knowledgeable staff will help you with a vast selection of products to choose from to fit your needs. Sky Mint believes access to the best cannabis helps people do good and feel good, so they grow it right here in Michigan, giving you high-quality, locally grown cannabis at highly accessible prices. Visit skymint.com for special offers and location information throughout Michigan, and use the promo code CouchAndRube20 for 20% off your first visit. Sky Mint Cannabis. You'll love this place.
Find Couch and the Rube podcasts on Spreaker, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, Google Podcasts, CastBox, and the Rube's favorite, Podcast Addict.
Couch in the Rube, presented by Skymint Premium Cannabis and Mark and Jay at North Coast Wealth Management. By the way, if you like Skymint Premium Cannabis, which you should, it just makes your life better. If you refer a friend, you can get $25 off. Go to skymint.com and put in your info there. You'll see where to, it's very clear where to go and how to do it. And start referring people. Get cash off your next Skymint purchase. The best way to get it. It's the best discount there is. It's just free money. Go to skymint.com for that. All right, Jason, you ready to dig into these listener hot takes?
Let's do it.
All right.
Eric Schultz, of course, up first. Number one, the expectation coming off of last season was title contention for MSU basketball this year. If Izzo truly loves this team to where he didn't need to get a big or a transfer wing, that means the expectation remains the same. Anything less than that should be met with anger. 2, Graham's opinion of MSU players on a personal level colors how he views their on-court abilities. Nobody's saying Christie was a bad kid. I'm saying he was a 5-star shooting guard who could not shoot the ball. And you compare him to a starter from 2 Final Four teams in Raymar? Are you high? Yeah. 3, I wish Graham was my boss. I do so much less work than I do now, but when it came time for my yearly review, I go into Graham's office, give him an impassioned speech about how driven I am. He'd believe me despite the fact that my actions screamed otherwise.
Appreciate you. Eric. Well, the comparison to Raymar was
dumb.
No, it was more Malik Hall is that version of a 3-man in Raymar, and I usually stutter when I'm talking, so I probably did not make that all that clear. To the first point, I do think the expectations for next year should be contention to some degree. I mean, the losing Max Christie in terms of what their ceiling could have been, depending on what he became, could be a blow. But I don't think that somebody like Julius Marble necessarily, or it was really going to make all that much of the difference between contention and not. That's not. And so they've chosen not to go bring somebody else in. And so the only real difference is, to me, is Christie that you can look at based on what my expectations, your expectations should be for them. Now, they may be a team that needs to grow into some things a little bit, and that's fine. But I think it's fair to say that by the end of the year, this is a team you're looking at that's, if they're healthy, that they're rolling, that they're contending in what should be a weaker Big Ten, that they're a team that you have hopes can make a move in the NCAA tournament and get something done. And anything less should be met with anger. it depends how it happens, but certainly if I'm not going to tell you, A, how to feel, but also if what happens is they're clearly just not adequate at the center position, and that was a misjudgment by Izzo when everybody else saw it, and that happens with coaches sometimes.
Don't coach my team.
Then you have every right to be upset.
Dominic up next. Number 1, Robert Williams III and his ruptured labia might seriously cost Boston a trip to the finals. It's a fucking bone bruise. Suit up. Celtics fan, not gambling related. Okay, I also lost money on them, but that's not important right now. 2, I'm merely a soccer casual, but I feel like if I was a fanatic, I would want to throw hands with Graham. It's like he wakes up at 7 a.m., pours a glass of Glenlivet, and systematically attacks every EPL fan base and tells them why their team is shit and their fandom is fraudulent. It's brutal. 3, as a counter to the 6 weeks of dead air Graham is giving us this summer, I'm currently in negotiations with Roast Umber and Tony D to do an Ebling-esque Fantasy World Series broadcast. Reimagination of the 1984 Tigers against Henry Rowan Gardner's Chicago Cubs.
Outstanding, Dominic.
I would tune in for that.
I would too. I would absolutely listen to that every day of our break.
Tony D and Ebling. Holy shit. Ebling wouldn't know what to make of Tony D. He'd be the greatest. Yeah, you're telling fans what to do. I know you sit there and you try to like draw it out like you're not actually making fun of you're like you and Vanini. I'm like, will you guys get off my timeline with this boring shit?
Okay, so here's what it is.
Wah, I can't root for this team.
We talked about jealousy, and there's a little of this. I can't get my brain to that place where where the adult male brain or adult brain period at 30 years old or whatever chooses. You listen to people how they came up with their Premier League team. Now, if you were 14 or 16, I mean, we all had, that's different. You were a kid.
Why?
If you were,
but maybe they weren't watching soccer back then,
right? But I'm just, same with me. Like I'm telling you right now, if the soccer that we have available to us, which is constant now, had been available when I was, 10 years old, I would be a rabid fan of some team now. I don't know what team it would be, but I would at least have some considerable fandom towards somebody. It's just not my makeup. I don't understand. Like fandom is illogical and it's passionate, and so you don't choose that. You don't choose passion. Passion chooses you, right? And so that's what I don't understand. And as an adult,
but if you're passionate about your favorite team, if you like a team,
but how do you become a fan of Tottenham? Like how you're not from North London?
Hell, I don't know. Man.
Right, but you're not from North London. You have zero connection to them. Like you're a grown up. Like, and if you choose to like them, it's one thing to say, I kind of like the way they play. I like this player. I like watching them. That's fine. I have those feelings too about teams. But to become a fan, to be passionate, to be the way you see the reaction on, I just don't understand it, and I'm envious. I wish I could get my head there. I just don't see how.
But it's not one of the 4 major sports in the U.S., right? And I feel like if you're going to sit there and maybe you want to tune into some soccer, there's no local team, right? You watch English Premier League? Is there a local team?
Well, there are
lots of
MLS teams, and that's.
Yeah, but fuck me, I don't want to watch MLS. I want to watch the best players in the league.
And I get that, and I watch tons of English Premier League soccer.
I'm saying, why can't someone have a little fandom about it? Like, is James Edwards, is his fandom? I don't know what team, some Spurs team he roots for.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, is that okay?
Same with Phil Friend. Yeah, I mean, look,
they can't do that.
And look, their fandom, it's clearly passionate. I don't know how they got there. I know James started young and early. James is a pup, but Phil was a little.
Doesn't that count?
Phil was a little later. Yeah, no, and I have no look. If you have a connection, or you, and look, I don't have a problem with it. Period. I'm just saying I don't understand how you get there. I can't fathom how the adult brain at age 30, without a connection, without living someplace, without having any reason to love a team, chooses a team and then falls in love with them. That's just not usually how it happens. That's how, I mean.
But how is it any different than when an 8-year-old, or, they.
Because you're 8 years old.
They went, no, hold on, though. But they went somewhere when they were a kid to some city, and then they grow older and they're 28 years old, and they're like, oh, yeah, I visited Denver once when I was 8 years old. No, I'm a Bronco. Like, what? Like, all right, that's fine as well, but you still, you can ask questions, but I'm not going to challenge anyone's fandom. If you sit there and root for a team, like, I'm a big hockey fan due to the playoffs. I plan on when the Red Wings hopefully get good next year, I'm going to watch a ton of games. But
you're from Michigan.
But hold on a second. But if I all of a sudden got back into hockey hardcore and then all of a sudden was a Blackhawks fan, yeah, that's over the line. But if there's soccer that's played across the pond, as you soccer people say, why not be able to, you can just pick up a team if you like the team.
But how do you like them? Why do you like them?
Because
What caused you to like them?
You made the mistake of going, I like soccer, so now I need a team in the Premier League. So
Just
I have
not
to
how
pick one.
fandom works. And I don't believe it. I don't believe you. I believe fandom is putting your heart in somebody's hand and having it crushed and or having it, having so much on the line that you're excited. And I understand. I believe that a lot of these people who are listeners to the show and friends in the media and all around are true to their fandom. I just don't know how they got there. I don't necessarily know that the I'd love to study them. I'd love to have somebody do a psychological study on the 30-year-old brain and how it chooses something and then loves it. Because maybe that's what we need to do in life. We need to choose people who need to be loved and then love them. Like find people who need love. I don't know. Fuck it. Let's move on.
John, up next. Number 1, the Premier League schedule and simultaneous games were a phenomenal watch. 2, Graham going back and forth with James from North London and others on Twitter is pretty funny. I missed that one. 3, let's not rush the summer away, please, even if that does mean about one show per week.
Appreciate you, John. Oh, yeah, James from North London is James Edwards. That's what I call him when he's talking about his love for Tottenham.
I was under the impression there was some dude that you were
No, I'm like
or something.
I'm like, thanks, James from North London. But by the way, to the point that was made a couple weeks ago about the depressing idea that we wouldn't be around, we wouldn't make the 10-year mark. Number 1, that's really cool because that anybody gives a shit that we make it to 10 years. But this show has a chance of having a longer shelf life by taking a few breaks like this, by having us be able to sort of re-energize and get away, and because for neither one of us is it the full-time gig. So that's why
you're lucky I didn't win the 100,000. I'd been
This
done with this show.
That would have been the end of Couch in the Room.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
I would have taken like a month off, bought a convertible. Why not? Fuck it. How many times are you going to win $100K?
Well, I mean, when you got a $40K settlement.
Yeah, 43.5, yeah.
43.5, it was in a duffel bag for 2 weeks.
It was in a bank bag. It wasn't a duffel bag.
So
yeah,
what did the bank,
classier.
What did the bank bag look like?
It was from the bank that I cashed the check through because I was written a check and it was to some bank downtown here, and I just went up to the bank and they took me to this fancy room and shit, and I was like, I'll take it all in cash. And the guy's like, you sure? And I go, absolutely. He goes, you don't want like a $10,000 check or nah. And so they put it in one of those big bags that you can zip up and threw it in the car.
Again, a story we're telling presented by Midtown Brewing Company at 402 South Washington Avenue. And if you're looking for a place for a beer after work, a date night, or brunch on the weekends, Midtown Brewing Company is just a fantastic menu and drink offerings. Go to midtownbrewing.net to check out their menu. And also, if you wind up with $43.5K in a settlement, call Mark and Jay at North Coast Wealth Management. Their advice will probably not be to put it in a bank bag and drive around in a Jeep for a couple weeks.
By the way, Jordan said he's going to find a way to work in a live read in my story, right? I'm like, oh, yeah, Mark and Jay, duh. Maybe. Number 1, Izzo needs the media team to do a full-court blitz on the power of retention and growth because fans aren't having it. 2, MSU's offensive line will be fine this fall. And 3, Draymond Green makes the NBA playoffs compelling, both with skill and barely contained competitive fire.
I like all these takes from Michelle here. Couple things. 1, I do think one thing Izzo can do, and he sort of, he stated what he was going to do in that Q&A with me, but as the season gets closer, I mean, one of the things he can say is really get into when I look at this team and I look at these particular guys, and I think that this, I think that keeping these guys happy and developing them is the way that I want to build, and just pluck a transfer when I need it. And I didn't think I needed it, and I don't know. He does. I think he can help himself a little bit by selling the virtues of what he's doing versus the way some other programs are doing it. Again, he's still going to have to prove it on the court. And we'll see about the offensive line. Look, the offensive line is fine, and there's a chance it will be. Then I think this has a chance to be a really special season because I think potentially most of the other parts are there. To the Draymond Green point, though, I was listening to a podcast while I was mowing the lawn last week, and Barkley was on it, and he was talking about how he's 2 years left on his contract, and that's sort of what he's planning to do at Turner Sports, and how I love that show Inside the NBA with those guys. It's fantastic television, and I got a little depressed about the idea that Barkley wasn't going to be there anymore in a couple years.
What else is he going to do? Why is he retiring?
He'd fish and play golf.
Shit. It's the easiest gig on the planet.
We'll see. We'll see if he leaves or not.
He's not
but,
going anywhere.
But what sort of saved me is he started talking about Draymond. And he was like, that Draymond is the next. I mean, he's already signed the contract there. And it might be a few more years that Draymond's playing before he's full-time on that show. But Draymond's going to be fantastic there. I mean, Draymond is somebody who's going to be part of great, entertaining basketball analysis and making our basketball experience better for decades. So that's pretty awesome.
Mike Scott up next. Number 1, Izzo is being as stubborn as D'Antonio in his last few years. There's no excuse not to get a big man, or at least another wing who can play a small 4. 2, Rory McIlroy will never win another major. 3, Al Avila needs to be fired now. And bonus, Rube should read his vows in the Coach K voice.
Oh, yeah. How would that? Yeah.
No. No. Yeah, Treese would probably kick me in the nuts.
But how would they go? Like, begin your vows in the Coach K voice?
I don't know. You repeat after what?
Are you writing your own vows?
No.
You're not?
No. I just want to get up there and repeat that someone does the thing and tells you what to say. Yes, I do. Forever, forever. Yes. And done.
The beauty of doing your own vows, pro tip.
No way.
Is
I'm nervous as hell, dude. There's no way I'd be able to remember.
I was nervous, but I left out in sickness and health. So when my wife has like a bad cold or the flu, there's nothing in the vows that says I got to be anywhere near her. That's just a pro tip. The Al Avila fired now. Would you?
Sure.
I don't know.
You don't fire him during the season. I don't know.
You got 6 pitchers out. Like it just doesn't feel like. To me, basically, the other problem is here's my problem with the new GM. Like they got some things really working, and new GMs always come in and want to put their own stamp on shit. And I'm okay with that, except if it's another Al Avila, some other dipshit who then screws it up and sets back the rebuild. To me, it's this. This year's been rough. And they've had a lot of injuries. And we were probably a year ahead of when they were going to contend anyway. I think you're doing this year and you're doing next year. And at the end of next year, if his vision of the rebuild doesn't get you where you need to be headed, if you're like still well short or guys that he made moves for aren't panning out, then he's got to go.
Ken Chu, number 1, Izzo's too stubborn to take transfers. That's why he passed on Mike Chappell, Brandon Wood, Bryn Forbes, Ben Carter, Aaron Harris, Joey Hauser, Jason Wittens, Peterson, and Tyson Walker. 2, the Michigan Panthers helmet logo looks more like a bird than a panther. And 3, the Flint Firebirds are on fire.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that whatever you think of Izzo's decision to not take a transfer now, the idea that he just is not a transfer, somebody who's willing to take transfers. Mike Chappell was, the original from Duke, and obviously Brandon Wood, Bryn Forbes, Ben Carter, Aaron Harris, Joey Hauser, Jason Witten. Those are Whiten's. A lot of dudes, including last year, point guard. So you got to have some faith that he's not doing this for any other reason than he doesn't believe it's the best move, and you can disagree with that.
The Youper, number 1. Izzo's coaching style works best with guys who want to prove the world wrong. Not many 5-stars have that necessary chip on their shoulder. The effort to recruit them isn't worth it for MSU. 2, this assistant coach hire will tell us more about Izzo's mindset than any roster decision. 3, spending 2 to 3 hours every week answering slight variations of the same question gives Graham a unique insight into being a coach and a post-game presser. And that's what makes him the best beat reporter in town. Ooh, don't say that. Hoping this flattery gets me into the first half of the show.
Well done, Duper. Yeah, well done.
I'm a beat reporter, though.
Yeah, that's
you columnists don't like that.
Yeah, we don't dig that very much. But
that's how you can offend them, by the way.
And by the way, I enjoy answering these questions, these variations of some of the same questions. But you know what? It's interesting because they're asked differently a lot, and the hot takes are slightly different a lot. And there's 3. So we can pick one of, But you also, what I mean is some of the stuff that you guys are thinking and the way you ask them gives me tremendous insight into where the sort of headspace is of a fan base, which is really important because that's my job, is to write for you, to serve you. And if I'm not doing that, then I'm not doing a good job. This podcast, in terms of crossover, does absolute wonders for me. In terms of not recruiting 5-stars, I do believe there are types of guys that I don't believe Christie, though. Like, Christie was a disappointment as a shooter. And he was not what they thought they were going to get as an offensive player, as a shooter. And so the next time, though, that guy might be worth it. And so, like, Gary Harris wasn't a disappointment. I guess he stayed 2 years. In other words, what I'm saying is there are definitely guys that aren't worth it. You're going to get mostly of their development time before they leave. But even some of those guys, if you go look at the minutes played and of Deontay Davis and how that correlated to winning, Deontay Davis was incredibly important to Michigan State during his 1 year. Same with Jaren Jackson. And, same with Max Christie to some degree. Now, again, the offense was not what they thought. But there is something to be said for, I'll give you the best example of this is Tyler Ulis versus Tyus Jones. That was the same class. And Michigan State could have had Tyler Ulis had Izzo not been so hung up on Tyus Jones. And if they got on him early, I mean, Iowa was his only offer. They were talking before Kentucky gets in there, his only Big Ten offer. They would have had him. And at Michigan State, he would have been a 3-year player. He left to Kentucky after 2 because that's what you did at that point after Kentucky. You had to be gone. You had to move on, and it didn't really work for him. And I know Tyus Jones won a national title at Duke, but I think they had Quinn Cook, who was the key on that team. And other things. You'd rather have 3 years of Tyler Ulis than 1 year of Tyus Jones, as good as Tyus Jones was as a college player. And that's the difference. Those are the things you have to look at when you're recruiting. What's worth it? You always want to wind up with Cassius Winston. Xavier Tillman is freaking worth it. Like, let's look at Xavier Tillman versus Jaren Jackson. As NBA players, yeah, Jaren Jackson's a better player. But who would you rather recruit? What you got, the best 2 years of Xavier Tillman, or Jaren Jackson, as good as he was for a year? You'd rather have Xavier Tillman. So when you're thinking about that, you have to, and who you want to put time into, you got to think that way a little bit.
Ron Quixote, number 1. MSU's best lineup will be small ball with Joey Hauser at the 5, but will Izzo play it? 2, trading Jeremy Grant for picks would be a mistake for the Pistons. They need veteran leadership and scoring, and he gives us both. 3, Persis Indian Grill is a sleeper for best Lansing area restaurant.
Appreciate the rec. I'm somebody who I want the Pistons to try and get a star beyond Cade Cunningham. And
how old's Jeremy Grant again?
He's going to his final year of his contract, so I don't think they're going to extend him. He's like 28, something like that. To me, you move him, and I understand what you're saying. They need veteran leadership and scoring. I don't think of him as a great fit for whatever reason. I think he's a little too ball dominant. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of Jeremy Grant, and I may be reading that wrong and not. That's just a gambling gut reaction.
But he's 28. If you're going to get value for him, you better do it now.
Right.
And is he a guy you think is going to roll with Cade? Because Cade is the main guy. Right?
Well,
you're trying to build around him.
And you either extend a guy or you trade him to me. Like, you're not going to just let him walk at the end of next year. Get some value. Yeah. And so we'll see. And Hauser at the 5, best small ball lineup. That may wind up being it. And if it is, all I hope is that they ride with whatever their best lineup is, and they should. I mean, there are going to be a lot of intriguing lineups, and it's hard to know. You have to think Jaden Akins is going to be part of that. The real question becomes, does that best lineup next year include both the point guards together like it did at times this year?
Nick Stenholm, number 1. MSU absolutely makes the tournament without Max Christie last season. If anything, Akins is further along in his development, and they'd be better next season for it. 2, Drunk Jason, Nick equals Ricky from Trailer Park Boys. That's fucking accurate, man. That's pretty good. You ever watch that show?
I do not. No.
Oh, yeah. It wouldn't be for you.
Why is it not for me?
Because you watch like highbrow, boring shit, and this is like funny. That's like white trash Trailer Park funny.
I enjoy that. I watched what's the Tiger King.
All right,
I like Tiger King.
That put you in the cool category.
I don't know. Something.
Hello there, young man. I watched the Tiger King. Y'all are talking about.
It makes me sound like Ned Flanders a little bit here. Yeah. No, I mean, like, I don't know if they would have made the tournament without Max Christie last year. I tend to think he played a bigger role, especially defensively. And
but if that makes you feel better about Max Christie, I guess you can say that. Like, they wouldn't make the tournament without him. All right.
Oh, but cool. Last year, well, yeah, no, that's that he wasn't that impactful, and obviously we'll never know.
Nick Palmer, number 1. Softball College World Series is greater than Premier League soccer all day, every day. Ooh. 2, yesterday's show was top 3 of all time. Really?
Appreciate you. Thank you.
3, once again, I would like to note you two give me hope that I will be able to marry someone way out of my league.
It really is the key to life.
He was talking to Treese, apparently.
Yeah. No, you just want to find somebody who gets you and can put up with you.
Absolutely.
Toleration is the key to marriage.
Yes. And being able to do what you want to do still.
So, yeah, somebody who gets you. Somebody who, having your own thing still, but having things together. I don't know. I'm not great at man.
She's my best friend.
I mean, you guys have all seen it now at the end of the show. When my wife comes in me and tells me to jump, it's how high, right?
That video, dude. We need someone to edit that video.
That's
just for the look on your face.
My fear is this. My wife, when she gets drunk, she is a lot of fun, but I do not have any concept where she's going with something, and I get a little nervous.
She got out to talk to a police officer.
Yeah.
We had to end the show.
She was behind, after I got pulled over the other night, she's behind the car drunk talking to a cop. Yeah. And I'm thinking, oh, fuck.
I can't remember the last time that I actually I was pulled over and wanted to get out to talk to a police officer.
Oh, good. You talk about white privilege. Being
Holy
drunk
shit.
behind the car talking to a cop, that is it. And that is a story we're telling presented by Midtown Brewing Company.
Have you seen Girls 5 Eva? Gavin Haas up next. Number 1, the conference finals suck this year. 2, the Tigers suck this year.
Thanks, Gavin.
And 3, the Lions won't suck this year.
Ooh, that's a dangerous prediction, but
the Lions have to clean all this up, huh?
Count on the Lions.
Gavin, too young to be bummed out, man.
But
Life
Gavin,
is good. School's out, right?
Gavin is of the age though where he has never really seen Detroit sports in his cognitive lifetime really rolling, and I get that.
Get a helmet, Gavin. Gets worse. Alex James, number 1. It's sad that I moved to Florida 8 years ago and have missed exactly 0 important Detroit sports moments.
There we go.
Complete change from when I was growing up. 2, an aloof mother telling stories about everyone she knows getting COVID really cuts down the checkout line at the store. 3, whoever handicaps NHL games in Vegas isn't that great at it. There is money to be won by taking home underdogs in these playoffs.
Have you noticed that with NHL games?
1,000%.
Really? Okay.
Yes, I'm telling you. And taking the goal and a half in a lot of these, and the -1.5 because at the end of the game they pull the goalie.
Yep.
I'm learning all this stuff right now. I got a buddy that's on a heater who won $100,000.
Download the Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook app if you want to take part in this stuff. But yeah, and Alex, I'm with you. We've gotten used to Detroit sports teams being bad here. That I think.
And I was drunk the whole time when the Tigers were good, so I don't really remember that shit in like the early 2010s. So that's what blows. I've sobered up. I got Skymint. I'm ready to enjoy some sports like I did today. Some great sports this weekend. Andrew Gauthier, number 1. Rory McIlroy is one of the most frustrating golfers to watch. Has all the shots and is clearly one of the most talented guys out there, but manages to regularly disappoint. It's hot in here. 2, Pereira losing on 18 was brutal. 3, I kind of hate the sound of lawnmowers.
Do you have a sound of it? Like, so for me, it's vacuums. I can't deal with vacuums. It just takes me back to being like
people eating.
Yeah. Oh,
I can't. Yeah,
so you don't like movie theaters, like rappers. And
I
people
tolerate it because we go to Studio 6 or whatever, see, and we get away from people. But I honestly like. One time we went over to Treese's like relatives, and they were old school and had like proper dinner, and it was like quiet. There was nothing in the back. I was like my palms were sweating. I just can't say. I need some sort of noise. I need some
music.
background.
Yeah.
I need TV noise, something. And hearing people chew, it just drives me fucking insane.
No, bad eating habits are no. And if I want my wife,
I'm saying there's proper eating habits. It's just I just can't listen to people eat.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
If I want my wife to be unattracted to me, well, I mean that happens a lot. But I'm just saying, like if I eat an apple in front of her, I can tell. She's just
but who looks hot eating an apple? Like Brad Pitt.
Very few people.
DiCaprio.
Yeah, it's not a lot of.
Zion was a big deal because he was a huge guy, and I just broke my chair.
I mean, you're shattering chairs in your house. I mean, how is that not a panty dropper? For God's sake.
To me, it's vacuum cleaners because what it means is it takes me back to being like 10 and like, this is a help around the house day. Like this is what we're doing today.
I forgot about that bit.
Yeah,
it's been a while since you pulled this one out because it made you think of you had to do shit. I like that. All right, Kevin from Rochester Hills. Number 1, Tiger Woods will win 3 more majors in the next 2 years. Jesus. 2, the Tigers will get on a hot streak and make the playoffs. And 3, betting on horse races is easier than betting on golf.
Kevin with Skyman flowing through the veins right now. Although the horse races thing is probably, if you know the horses, is absolutely true.
Yeah. You have to know a little bit.
Get on a hot streak and make the playoffs. Like, hold on, let me look. Give me some Hoff. Let me look at these standings.
Dominoes falling, Cockburn, right in the streets.
So, I think 26 teams make the playoffs now in Major League Baseball or something like that. So, you only got to. No, I'm kidding. But what sucks for the Tigers in some ways is, like, the White Sox have not run away with this thing. They're 20-20. The Twins have been pretty good finally, and the year after I bet on them to be good. But what are there? 6 teams in the AL will go, and if you look at the 6th best team right now is like the Blue Jays at 22-19. Basically, you got to get near 500 to be talking in anything. And for the Tigers at 14-26, I do believe at some point they will hit like a 7-8 game winning streak, and we will feel good about things. What they've got to do is stay within touching distance of 500 to the point that 7 or 8 game winning streak means something. Like if they're 14-26, if it gets no worse, it can't get any worse. They got to play at least 500 from here on out. When they get on that win streak, we'll go, let's look at things. But if it gets any worse, it's just too late.
Let's go.
Kevin Raymond. Number 1, what is seen at Goodison Park on Thursday is Everton and Frank Lampard. That's a team called Frank Lampard?
No, he's the coach, the manager.
Frank Lampard. You never know with those weird team names. Survive relegation. 2, Tiger Woods will not win another major. 3, MSU football will finish 10-2 with a blowout win at Michigan. And everyone's favorite bonus. I appreciate you guys more than you ever know.
We appreciate you, Kyle. That's very kind of you to say.
Thanks a lot.
Like every MSU football fan in the world would like MSU football to take the next step and do more than they did this year. But everyone in the world would sign up for 10-2 with a blowout win at Michigan, even if it meant they went the same record as last year.
Yeah,
there's no question about it.
Can't wait to answer that multiple times after June.
But the Goodison Park scene, I mean, it was cool to see Everton survive and not be relegated, to be down like they were, and to win 3-2. That scene, the scenes when a team leads today. And again, most of us didn't get to see what happened with Leeds today because we were busy watching, the Man City and Liverpool drama, which was incredible too. That's why they shouldn't have the game started all at the same times. But yeah, it's quite a scene on Thursday.
Alan Perlstein, number 1, gambling win. $2 box superfecta win on the Preakness. Ain't nothing like watching the ponies when you win some money. On to the Belmont.
It's a great feeling. Winning
in horse racing?
Winning a bet in anything is a great feeling.
1,000%.
But winning a horse race bet for me, because I never happens and I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, is always a great feeling.
Do you want to know what you're doing, though? I mean, horse racing to me is like a thing when you go and you do it, you have a good time. It's just those guys that grind it out, man.
I'm not grinding out. I
can't live that life.
What I will do is I will read 3 or 4 articles about what I should bet on, and that'll be it. That's the extent of it. That's not grinding it out. And I only do that couple times a year for the I didn't even bet.
You don't
the
have to be embarrassed if you like horse racing. I mean,
no, it's a cool. No, the idea of horse racing is a beautiful sport. It's like I love horse racing movies, like Seabiscuit and all that stuff.
Why would you think I don't like Trailer Park Boys? Oh, I don't get it. Jay Riemenschneider, number 1, Big Ten basketball is going to be so down next year that MSU may actually have a chance of winning it, even though their team will most likely not be as good as last year's team, and we know they weren't world beaters. 2, Terrace Reed and Jet Howard will have a bigger impact for Michigan next year than Diabate and Houston had this past year, and Michigan is going to need all they have if they want any chance of competing in a big way. 3, Nick Saban is pissed. Alabama will go full thermonuclear and win every game 59-6 next year. Then Saban will call it quits.
So what's interesting about Saban is Saban in some ways is Tom Izzo. Like these two think alike. They talk all the time. They have the same opinions on this stuff. And what we're going to see with Saban is whether he just has, he's got it rolling to the degree that he may just take it out on everybody and play this game and do it. Or is Saban nervous, and is Saban losing his touch a little bit? And is he not? I mean, this could go a lot of different ways. I'm curious to see it. To the point about Michigan basketball, the thing about Michigan next year that most teams don't have in college basketball is a legitimate star, a junior no less, who's played in 1 million big games in Hunter Dickinson, who's going to be the best big man in the Big Ten by a ways. And you can play through him, and you can play around him, and you can build a roster. And I mean, it just makes everybody better. Like I think, I don't know. Him coming back to me means if you're Michigan, you gotta go for it a little bit, and you try to build everything you can around him. And I understand it's hard to do that with big guys to some degree, but he just, I think he'll be more and more skilled. And I don't know. I think Michigan's gonna be really good. And having that guy, most teams don't have that guy.
Rick Darnell up next. Number 1, can't wait for Bama and A&M on October 8th. 2, Jaden Akins will take a huge leap and be that good. And 3, Keon and Malik are an injury away from being key rotational players for MSU basketball.
So that is an interesting idea, too. An interesting thought. Is that, I mean, I don't know about Malik Carr. I don't think he's going to play. I think Malik Carr will, ideally for Malik Carr, and he's even said it, he'll have the type of year that puts him in the NFL draft, and he won't be playing basketball. But Keon Coleman is a guy who loves hoops. He can't go to the NFL after next year, and I think he will see an opportunity. Now, he doesn't play a position where they're really short staffed, but he's got an athletic ability. He can play on the wing. He'll come in knowing the system. I think he'll work out with the teams in the summer at times. He may take part in Moneyball and all that stuff. So I do think Keon Coleman will be has a chance to be part of the rotation for sure.
Bo McJunkins. Number 1, I don't feel sorry at all for Phil Mickelson. I like Phil, but he's brought on his problems by himself both now and in the past. 2, if we are shooting for a 20-11 record or whatever for MSU basketball next year and are okay with it, this program has taken a step down. And 3, nobody likes these gas prices, but if you're over the age of 10 and stick Joe Biden, I did that stickers on gas pumps, or wearing a Let's Go Brandon t-shirt, you should grow up and find a hobby.
Yeah, gas prices everything's more complex than the president. One of the things you learn, especially about the economy, is rarely does the president have as much control as we think, and they always get credit and blame and all that jazz.
So why vote?
Well,
let's get into it.
No, let's not.
3 segments right now.
Yeah, just fucking vote.
Let's take a break.
Just fucking vote.
So you can post your sticker on Twitter.
No, but the 2011 part about MSU basketball, I don't think collectively people are okay with that. I'm okay with that because it keeps me from wearing a Manzier or bro or man bra. That's the bet. So for me, that is the floor. For everybody else, the expectations should be absolutely higher.
Over the shoulder boulder holder.
Whatever,
that's what we'll call it.
Whatever you want to call it. All right, we are going to take a really quick break, and we come back.
Is your wife here?
No, right. She's not. So some more really good hot takes. Clint Bainey, Spartan 18770, Mike Rack, She-Hulk, Stan, Tyler, Ryan Schultz, Al, Aaron Whiteford, and so on and so forth. Couch in the Rube, presented by Skymint Premium Cannabis and our friends Mark and Jay at North Coast Wealth Management.
Where else can you cheer on your team? Enjoy a mouth-watering burger or savory sushi. Sip on handcrafted cocktails or one of 46 beers on tap. Take your game day or date night to Cask & Company Kitchen Bar or Front 43 Neighborhood Pub near Frandor. 2 amazing places with 1 awesome blended modern American Asian menu. Catch the game on one of 30 60-inch TVs or stop in for the all-you-can-eat lunch buffet. Enjoy happy hour or elevate your night out at Cask & Company or Front 43 on East Saginaw in Lansing. Wherever you are on your cannabis journey, let Skymint Premium Cannabis be your guide, your friend, and your place. Whether you're curious about cannabis or a seasoned connoisseur, Skymint's knowledgeable staff will help you with a vast selection of products to choose from to fit your needs. Skymint believes access to the best cannabis helps people do good and feel good, so they grow it right here in Michigan, giving you high-quality, locally grown cannabis at highly accessible prices. Visit skymint.com for special offers and location information throughout Michigan and use the promo code code CouchAndRube20 for 20% off your first visit. Sky Mint Cannabis. You'll love this place. Come enjoy irresistible, award-winning, handcrafted donuts and locally roasted coffee at Groovy Donuts. Surprise your family or coworkers with special holiday designs and flavors, or put the perfect finishing touch on an event with a custom order. Birthdays, weddings, gender reveals, our friends at Groovy Donuts are your answer. Experience the Groovy Donuts difference for yourself on Lake Lansing Road in East Lansing or in Williamston. Get more information or place an order at groovydonuts.com.
Find our live stream, podcast archives, as well as show, affiliate, and sponsorship information at our website, spotlightmediastudios.com.
Couch in the Rue, presented by Skymint Premium Cannabis, and our Sunday night show, brought to you by Mark and Jay at North Coast Wealth Management. If you have investment questions, and you very well might right now, Mark and Jay are here for you, 248-626-2000. You can email them at info@northcoastwm.com. Let them know that Couch in the Rube sent you for a free consultation to see if Mark and Jay at North Coast Wealth Management are a fit for you. All right, back to your hot takes.
Clint Bainey. Number one, newsflash to all those Spartan fans who are panicking about not having a true center next year. Hey, slapdicks, we go with 3 forwards and 2 guards. That's just the way we roll. All right. 2, Izzo needs to shelve the pride and go a 1-3-1 or a 2-3 zone for at least a half each game next year. The time has come. Oh, and 3, I'm looking for. Oh, you put these all together. Okay.
Sorry.
3, I'm looking forward to seeing who is on the kickoff team next year. With a stockpile of linebacker talent, we should have 2 phenomenal wedge busters flying down the field. And bonus take, pet peeve. People who say, don't you know who I am? First of all, if you say that and I don't know who you are, then you are obviously a douchebag. And if you say it and I do know who you are, then you are an even bigger douchebag.
It is one of the 10 lines in this world that you should never say.
I've always wanted to say it once.
Do you know who I am?
Yeah. Don't you know who I am?
I'm sure I've said it in my life at some point.
No way. For real?
But is joking around. I don't know if I've ever said it like serious. Because it is a total, like, I mean, what do you, you're right. If you're actually a big deal, you don't need to say it.
The Hertz rent-a-car lady.
And
sorry, Mr. Couch, we don't see your car. Don't you know who I am? Show the app, lsj.com.
Yeah, and if it just doesn't get you anywhere. It's amazingly
you're a complete ass.
It's amazingly bad line. Izzo is not going to play zone. They practice it. They never use it, and it's just
so
who
he's
he
hard-headed. Then
he hates it. Well, but also
but he's not open to it when it could possibly work.
I do think there are times they should throw it in here and there, absolutely, to disrupt something.
So he's hard-headed.
However, I will say this: the frustrations with Izzo are on the offensive end. I mean, his defense is what it is, and it's what's gotten him in the Hall of Fame. It's what's made average teams hang in there until they found their stride and be Final Four teams. It's like that's who they are, is his defense. And doesn't mean a 2-3 zone won't work once in a while, or a 1-3-1, something to disrupt. 1-3-1s I like. I like the disruption of that once in a while. And that is one place he is just never gonna change. And a guy like Dwayne Stevens, for example, I heard him on a podcast talking about this. Like they're going to run an occasional zone in Western Michigan. So even the guy who's his disciple, who runs the same defense and knows it as well as Izzo, is going to use the zone occasionally. The day you want to talk about, when do I think Izzo will retire? If I start seeing him run zone defense, I'll be like, this year's it. I need to write that column.
We had him on a-hole a lot.
All right, Graham, can you say the word ass in a Yoda voice for me whenever I point to you? Ready? Spartan 18770. Number 1, doing yard work on a Sunday is
ass.
2, going to Meijer on a Sunday is
ass.
3,
Yoda?
3, leaving the house on a Sunday is
ass.
And 4, bonus, today has been a day. Oh, man. I wish your wife was here so we could end this show. Dying. All right, Mike Rack up next. Number 1.
I do feel bad for people watching. It's like it is 100 degrees in the studio.
So hot here, dude. Oh, my God.
Like crazy.
It's like Beirut, Mike Rack. Number 1, the Detroit Lions will not win a Super Bowl in our lifetime or anyone else's lifetime. It's a lot of lifetimes. 2, Casey Mize will have Tommy John surgery before the year is out. And 3, MSU basketball will finish sub 500 in the Big Ten this year.
Mike, I'm going to tell you this right now. Skymint.com, man. This is a depressing 3 takes. Go to Skymint. It'll help if this is the way you feel about these things. However, I don't agree with you, number 1. I'm really hopeful, or anyone else's lifetime. That is the most depressing thought in the world.
Yeah, what are the odds we get on that?
I do think Casey Mize, this is what happens. This is ultimately where it'll wind up.
Can we do it already then?
Right, we should have done it when he was 15, so get it out of the way. Just do it with everybody when they're 15. I'll have it tomorrow in case I'm a pitcher. Just get everybody has Tommy John surgery at some point. It usually happens at an inconvenient time. Just do it to everybody when they're 15 years old. Get it out of the way.
She-Hulk Stan. Number 1, MSU will be the new Clemson. We will be the cool new place to be successful at. We will win a championship, and Tucker will go to the NFL. We will build him a statue next to D'Antonio. Wow, that's hot. 2, MSU basketball hasn't had a player to watch since Cassius, which has made us bad and uninteresting. We need Jaden Akins and or A.J. Hoggard to be that player to watch to make this team more fun. And 3, She-Hulk is hot.
I don't even know.
Carmen Electra is hot.
Yeah.
She's got OnlyFans now.
I need to look at She-Hulk here. Hold on. Let me do it.
Right.
This isn't going to get me on some really bad site, is it?
No, dude. It's Jesus. It depends on if you're on Brazzers.
Okay. All right. There we go.
How would you get anything off She-Hulk?
I don't know what comes up on this WeberNet thing, the Jig Internet thing. Oh my God. I'm just kidding. I'm just playing into the 2 things I want to get into in this is 1, it'll be interesting because there's definitely the vibes of a program that's hip going on. Now you got to win at a pretty high level to be the next Clemson, and that would be an incredible thing for MSU. And that's sort of the dream, sort of like what Michigan State basketball is and has been is the dream for every middling program. The real key for me for MSU football is, because at some point you might lose Tucker, is can you develop or have somebody on staff that looks like a great heir apparent so you don't fear that? And maybe it's Jay Johnson. Jay Johnson doesn't have the same swagger and other things. He's not somebody who's being, despite what I think being a really revered offensive coordinator at this point, somebody who's hot on a lot of radars. And I don't know if he's a head coach. I don't know if he'd be great at that. Certainly you want him on staff. But can you develop somebody on staff where you go, you know what? When Mel Tucker goes, that dude's the guy. And then you don't worry about that as much. To the second point, though, not having a player that's fun to watch since Cassius, and there is something to that. Like when a player is entertaining and a player is, and I think that's part of what people liked about Keon Coleman. He looked entertaining and athletic, and I think that's what people love about Jaden Akins. I always write that he glides on every fucking rebound, right? Like he's entertaining to watch, and Hoggard has a chance to be that. I'm going to give you another name, and it's Jackson Kohler. Like people loved watching Nick Ward. I think Kohler is going to be offensively a player that you really enjoy watching. Now, is he good enough as a freshman defensively to, we'll find out. But I think over time, his skill set is going to be something that people really enjoy at Michigan State and will be another guy that's fun to watch.
Tyler up next. Number 1, Flames Oilers hype is unreal, and they are living up to it. 2, baseball, no runs first inning bet keeps giving, but only pick games between shit teams and early in the day. 3, Graham, is this a real name of a player in this one? 3, Graham hates Tottenham, but I hope he enjoys watching Heung-min Son, the EPL Golden Boot winner.
You did pretty well there.
Heung-min Son?
Son is I just call him Son. I don't even try the rest. But he is a fantastic player. And I don't actually hate Tottenham's players. I hate their fan base, which includes some of my close friends, so it's kind of a contradiction. But the no runs first inning bet, like I've been doing a lot on the second inning and doing well. I got bid on it today because I did it in the second inning of the Tigers game, and the Tigers scored a run. But overall, it's been pretty successful. I get through that first inning when shit can go wrong for a pitcher is figuring it out. The second inning, to me, I'd be curious how those two things measure up, Tyler, when because obviously you've had some success with the no runs first inning bet.
Ryan Schultz, 3 Graham Couch recommendation takes. Number 1, Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt on Netflix. The writers are the exact same creative team behind Girls 5 Eva. Tough to get into at first, but worth it.
Appreciate you, Ryan.
2, Sam Fender, new Northern English artist, heavily influenced by Springsteen, and it shows.
Excellent. We'll definitely check it out.
3, Forgetting Sarah Marshall. It surprises me that you bring up romantic comedies starring Jason Segel, Cockburn, sorry, but never mention this. You cannot think 5-year engagement is in the same stratosphere, and that's not a subjective opinion.
I like Forgetting Sarah Marshall. It's a great movie, but I'm a big 5-year engagement fan. My wife likes it a lot. We watch it a lot. 5-year. You even liked 5-year engagement.
I would say, yeah, it was good.
Yeah,
it was all right. Yeah,
it was a good.
I would never watch it again.
But of all my recommendations, that's not the worst. Is what you're saying?
Yeah, I was about to say. List.
But it's fair. Forgetting Sarah Marshall is an excellent movie as well. He plays. By the way, in Winning Time, the way that he plays, what's his name? Why am I blanking on this?
Magic Johnson?
Paul Westhead. Thank you. I knew you weren't going to help me. He makes Paul Westhead look like a total goof, like just the worst, biggest moron in the history of the world. He's like,
but wasn't Westhead a douche?
I don't know. I've interviewed Paul Westhead once. He was the coach of the Phoenix WNBA team, and I was doing a story on a player who played at Western Michigan, who's now actually the head basketball coach at Harvard. She'd been at Michigan as the women's assistant, Carrie Moore.
You don't say.
Yeah, and anyway, was doing a story on her at a WNBA game, a Chicago Sky game, and talked to him. And that was a game, by the way, that was right after I stopped sliding in co-ed softball because my strawberry was so bad from sliding that I was bleeding through my pants so bad I had to wear gauze wrapped and all this stuff wrapped around my waist to stop myself from bleeding through my pants when I went to do this story.
Jesus, man.
Yeah, it was
just
bad.
A softball game.
I know. That's once you take out a 50-year-old woman at third base, it's like it's time to stop doing that. Story not quite worth telling, but presented it nonetheless by Midtown Brewing Company, 402 South Washington Avenue in downtown Lansing. Where was I going with this? Oh, but Sam Fender, appreciate the recommendation. I will definitely check it out. And Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, I have seen it. My wife loves it. I'm okay into it. I like Girls 5 Ever a little better.
Al, number 1, best of luck to Jason. I wish you all the happiness in the world. 2, it seems wrong that the World Cup isn't next month. 3, Notre Dame will make the football playoffs and LSU won't. Bill Simmons' Ewing theory. Ewing theory.
Which is like the idea that you win more when teams don't have their best players. I think it is. The idea
right,
is
like when Ewing didn't play in 99,
right?
They were a better team when he went out after game 2 or something.
So this is the idea that Brian Kelly leaving and that'll help Notre Dame. The World Cup, I'm with you. Like it's World Cup so fun in the summer. Like going to a pub and at 10 a.m. with a bunch of people to watch a soccer game.
It's a blast.
It's incredible. And instead in the fall, like think about this. On Black Friday, MSU, the U.S. plays England in a group stage game. Michigan State will be playing in Portland in the PK 85 that night. The next day, MSU football plays against Penn State. The Lions play the day before. Like it's just going to be a smorgasbord. It's sensory overload, but it's going to be a fun week nonetheless.
Aaron Whiteford, by the way, thanks Al for the good luck. Number 1, apparently people on planes and in airports will drink heavily before 9 a.m. if the booze is free. 2, can confirm that almost everything is decriminalized or legal in Portland. And 3, what day is it between travel and your odd schedule? I'm really confused.
So are we.
Sunday.
Yeah. We've been pretty
whatever day you want. Whenever you play this, it's that day.
That's absolutely true. We've been pretty consistent on the Sunday thing. We'll try to keep doing that.
Even when the booze wasn't free, when I was drinking, shit.
Airports are great. I used to drink so much on planes, too.
And I was thinking about when you were talking about soccer, being at a bar at 10 a.m., I should have actually liked soccer because I could have gotten away with drinking at 10 a.m. with nobody judging me. Yeah. Kurt Wisniewski. Number 1, there is not one NFL prospect in the USFL. The USFL number 1 pick is now a second stringer. 2, MSU football will have 2 1,000-yard receivers and a 3,300-yard passer. 3, Old Nation Shandy is far superior to Liney's Summer Shandy. Ooh, that sounds like a battle.
If
Coach K.
MSU football has 2,000-yard receivers and a 3,000-yard passer, now there have been great receiving tandems before on teams that weren't necessarily great. If you go Derek Mason, Musa Muhammad, sort of, go back to Gary Scott and Plaxico Burrell, that team won quite a bit. But it is, and so you can have teams that aren't wildly successful that have great playmakers. But I do think if MSU winds up in that stratosphere, it's a hell of a season.
Plus size softball dad. Number one, if Steven, what is this, Gerard? Steven Gerard's name was anything else, he would be coaching at Lansing Common. 2, I'm going to make so much money betting against Aston Villa next year. And 3, Haley Upton is hotter than Aaron Lindsay, but Trudy is hotter than both. Who are these people?
So these are Chicago PD actors, and my wife and I, that's all we watch right now. We were like totally in the Chicago PD. Steven Gerrard is the manager of Aston Villa, and he blew. I mean, like they were up 2-0 against Man City, and
he was playing goalie.
Blew it. No, he's the manager. He just they fucked it up, and the players did. But and the other reason I don't like him is he's younger than us. He's 41 years old, born 1980. Nobody born 1980 should be allowed to do anything yet. They're too young.
Professor. Number 1, if the Tigers set the record for fewest runs scored in a season, they should be demoted to AAA. 2, kitchen remodels are hell, and the added stress is not worth it. 3, LSJ subscription equals good. Daily emails from LSJ equal bad. I don't need links articles I've already read.
Well, I appreciate you as a subscriber, Professor.
Hey, you guys got to chill with that.
Yeah, I
need to talk to somebody.
I only have so much influence. I already walk on every morning. I go on a walk with my mom around the neighborhood, and I'm already, sometimes accosted by the people saying, "Hey, the delivery was not very good today."
I didn't deliver
paper's
the
on the
paper,
driveway.
lady.
I pick them up.
I just wrote the column.
When I see them on the driveway in the yard, I put them on the front. I put them on the front porch. I try and do
God, your life really is a Hallmark movie.
It's something.
Morning walk with mom, picking up the paper, looking at yourself in the column.
It's something else.
On the cover with Cassius.
It is something
life,
else.
Man.
It is something else. Kitchen remodels do suck. They are hell. We've just done part of it, and we had one step of it that wasn't a whole lot of fun. But I'll tell you what makes it easier. If you call Mark and Jay at North Coast Wealth Management and you have the nest egg and the money that it's not a financial stressor, that's really key. They can help you plan for that. They can help you invest wisely so that when it's time to remodel that kitchen, there are parts of it that are going to be ass, but not all of it will be, and the financial part of it will not be. Give them a call, 248-626-2000. That's 248-626-2000. Mark and Jay at North Coast Wealth Management. You can email them at info@northcoastwm.com. Let them know Couch of the Rube sent you for a free consultation. See if Mark and Jay at North Coast Wealth Management are a fit for you.
Dark Mantonio. Number 1, I hear your name mentioned on other MSU podcasts more than any other MSU personality. So how much you paying for the pub, Mr. Couch? 2, I respect the effort you put in for this show's to work and for us to be a part of it, Graham. Now give the people who won prizes their damn prizes. 3, it can be a bit intrusive at times, but you can become pretty damn good at the impromptu ad reads.
Appreciate you.
Are you Dark Mantonio? Is this your burner?
Why would I put number 2 in if this was my burner?
Because you want it to make it look like it's not a burner.
Throw people a little fake?
Right.
Yeah.
Because all it is, it's the prize thing that you laugh at anyway. So you throw that one in the middle.
No, but those prizes, by the way, are in the works and reached out to some people. And that stuff is actually, believe it or not, at this point it's the boy who cried wolf. But that
shouldn't
stuff
we have
is happening.
picked up and moved out of town by now? You know what I mean? Like they just show up for their prize and there's just a telephone on the ground.
I appreciate that other people mention me and their podcasts and stuff. I do pay quite a bit for that publicity. Is
that flattering or?
Well, I mean, it's part of the contract. I pay a lot of different people a lot of money to be
Makes
mentioned.
sense.
That's for sure.
I get that. Mr. Benjen. Number 1, majors are so boring without the token sentimental older guy challenging on the Sunday back 9.
I do like that guy.
What the fuck do you want? Thomas won today. He was like, what, 500 today, 400? 2, fuck Fenwick. He's the longest shot horse that finished last in the Preakness, asshole.
Gambling related.
Calling a horse an asshole. That is gambling related. 3, Is there anything to look forward to after Day gets a ring before football is back?
MLS soccer, the Tigers, I guess, a little bit. But no, there's definitely, the thing about football, and the season goes sometimes too quick, or parts of the season. I guess the NFL seasons last a long time, and it's gone for a long time. But I think that's one of the attractive parts of football, right, is that you're so excited when it happens because it's gone. It leaves you wanting more. Unlike this show, football leaves you wanting more. Right?
Yes.
Thank you.
Makes you want more.
What
football.
I mean is, okay.
It's hot in here. We've been here too long. Carl Mylock. Were you done? I'm sorry.
We are, but this is like half the time of the Saturday show, by the way.
Yeah, no kidding.
It was just a lot cooler in here.
Yep. Mylock. Number 1, hockey is better than soccer, and it's not close. It's faster, high scoring, physical contact is encouraged, and players aren't flopping around all the time. What's the argument for soccer? Number 2, the PGA Championship has been boring as hell. 3, MSU basketball and MSU hockey switch places in prestige as Nightingale succeeds and Tom Izzo struggles to maintain success in the name, image, and likeness era.
What would be interesting about that is it would be sort of a full circle, because that's where, when Izzo started at Michigan State basketball was, barely drawing 3,000 at Jenison and giving away tickets, and hockey was the hot thing in town, and he would go over and watch games because he couldn't even be on the road and recruit because he had that restricted earnings position. I don't think that'll ever he just won for too long for that to happen. MSU hockey has a long way to go, but this is supposed to be Hot Take Sunday, so, Carl, I appreciate that.
But people don't love college hockey like they did back then, right?
Television has changed things, and it used to be not every basketball game was on TV, not every football. I remember watching MSU football games as a kid on 11 o'clock on the PBS channel, on WKAR, because they were replayed. That was the only way you could watch it. Games just weren't even on TV.
And now college hockey games, Big Ten Network, the camera guy's also calling the game.
Well, that's the BTN Plus. Yeah,
whatever.
And BTN has done BTN has done a shit job with college hockey. And the other problem they have is that they're not on as much because they found that college volleyball and college wrestling do better ratings, which is another issue. But so I don't think they'll ever switch. The mid-majors have the same problem. When you go to like a lot of mid-major basketball programs and you look at like photos of their arenas in the 80s and 70s, you're like, who were these 10,000 people? Why don't they ever come to games now? Because back then, if you wanted to see a Division I team, first of all, they got more pros were playing back then in those schools, but also that was how you saw them play. There weren't as many games on TV. Now everything's on TV, and and it's a different type deal. To your first point, what is the argument for soccer? Number 1, soccer is physical as shit, and there is some flopping involved because they have, they do go down and to get calls and stuff like that. But it's not. It's mostly the South Americans who overdo it and are really, the Brazilians and I don't know. They're just more. I don't know.
I have a feeling if I said that, you'd be like, "That's racist."
I didn't. No, I'm not with soccer.
Only South Americans flop.
Nah, the Brazilians are. Some of these are pretty bad at it. But
sucks the other way around.
I know. Soccer to me is a more. I like hockey, but I love soccer. It's just I love the way it all comes together. It's a more beautiful sport. It's
not one hockey fan ever approached me and was like, "Oh my God, you don't watch the NHL?" Oh, soccer people do that.
Well, no, there's soccer guy, and yes, no doubt, there's a soccer guy that can be annoying as shit, no doubt.
Sports Guy 1919. Number 1. I know it's very popular, but I don't understand how people watch the NBA every time down, watch the NBA. Every time down, it's one-on-one or drive and kick for 3 or a soft foul call. I have tried multiple times, but do not find it entertaining at all.
A lot of people think college football or college basketball is even worse. The difference is people care about their team so much, they're able to put up with it. But there are NBA games that are not attractive. And the playoffs, though, I find very much so. I think the teams that are left play a brand of basketball that I enjoy.
These guys miss so many games.
But I'm not going to tell you what to like because there are things that there are lots of things that, like I always say, in terms of just aesthetic quality, if we gave a shit about the teams in team handball, which is playing the Olympics, would be like that sport combines so many different things like soccer, basketball, water polo. I look at that sport and I'm like, man, that looks fun. That looks amazing. We just don't care about it.
Handball?
Team handball is what it's called. Yeah. Looks interesting.
No, it doesn't. Tyrone Couch. Number 1, hot take. The weapons of past destruction will be the most dominant piece of the MSU teams for the next few years, but the offensive line will have 2 Outland winners in the next 7 seasons. Wow. 2, cold take. Graham almost saying that Jared Horst shot a person made my Saturday. What? And Michigan fans will be posting that if they heard it. They don't listen. I had to listen twice to make sure he shot the video. You said that?
I said that. I don't know if my phrasing was all that well. I said he shot the video of the person getting shot, and I don't think
Oh yeah.
I'm not a good storyteller, so yeah. It's
3, warm take. I got a new AFC Richmond Greyhound shirt to get into soccer and betting. Betting their games are not available on my sports app. Should have used Firekeeper's app.
That would be sweet if you could bet with the Firekeeper's app, the Ted Lasso team, but you cannot.
Whiny take. My wife is starting student teaching, a.k.a. paying a school $6,000 to work while they're being a broke ass. If I remembered how busy she would be and knew our nightly 9:30 appointment would become every 10 days, I would have been less supportive. It's been a long 3 days already.
You can't go back, though, because it being not supportive gets you nowhere. You got to be supportive.
Nightly 9:30 appointment.
Well, good for you. You had
night?
You had it made for a long time, my man. So,
Good God.
Yeah.
Some Pornhub or something.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Good for you. I mean, but yeah, no, you got to be supportive. There's no doubt about it.
Tucker Tarlson, number 1, love art. I'm a musician myself. However, I hate the yearly surprise of trying to leave my downtown East Lansing alley apartment and being blocked in from every single direction by this art festival. Sorry, but thank you for letting me vent. The others will be short. 2, Tony D will be replacing Tom Brady's commentator position when Tom inevitably goes back to the league. And 3, next vacation should definitely be to Middelfart, Denmark.
It's a great name, Middelfart. Let me just look up a picture of it real quick, see if we like Middelfart.
Free Ubers.
Oh, yeah. No, I would go to Middelfart, Denmark. Oh, it looks like a...
Would you giggle every time you said it?
I don't... Boy.
Is this the left fart?
Keep in mind, I covered the Freeport pretzels for a long time.
Oh.
And it sounded normal as hell.
How did you do that?
We called things...
breaking up.
Well, but we called things the Pretz of the week instead of the Prep of the week, and it was just normal. Normal as hell.
Oh, man, so many laughs. Neurotic Pants, number 1. The world needs more movies about inbred cannibals. Thanks, B, for West Virginia. 2, it's too bad Jason never got into in a fight with bikers or motorcycle gangs, because then he'd have another great story. No thanks. 3, pure CBD or CBN without THC is soothing for anxiety and available at Skymint.
Appreciate you, Skyman. Glad they could help out, Mr. Neurotic Pants. What's the most intimidating person you've ever been in a fight with?
Oh, I don't remember, to be honest with you. They've all been like drunken melee kind of things, so I didn't have time to be scared or whatever. There was the 3 bouncers that were like offensive linemen for Michigan State like 8 years ago that tossed me to the sidewalk. That were pretty. I just knew I was going for a ride, so I just hung on. Yeah, I don't know. Where are we at? Hans Jurgen. Number 1, Jack FM stations say they play anything, but they really play pop and soft rock from the last 30 years. When was the last time you heard a concerto, or a polka on Jack FM?
I don't even know what Jack FM is. Do you?
It's a station. They call it Jack, and they play shitty music.
Okay. All right.
I think that's like a genre on terrestrial radio now.
Gotcha.
2, the NIL money should be divided equally among all Division I athletes, and the NCAA should double down on any other cheating. The theoretical beauty of the NCAA sports is that everyone has the same number of scholarships and teams rise and fall based on merit. 3, if the NCAA continues on its present course, we will have a Major League Baseball style system of haves and have-nots. The NFL has proven, given every team equal resources, gives every fan base hope. Coaching and scouting should be the difference, not cash. I've been reading for like a half hour, I feel like. Shorten these up. Bonus. I'm not wearing sweatpants to the movie theater because they don't chafe my blubbery waist as I shovel buttery popcorn down my pie hole. The theater is dark, so why try to be presentable? I've officially become a fat fuck. All right.
That was well done, the last one. Look, I do think there is something. The thing about NIL is it's the whole idea of NIL is you're paid based on your market value, and it's per student athlete. Now, some of it will be shared money when it talks about video game licensing agreement and things like that will be equal. But it is one of the part of the problems is how do you not create a system that's even further of have or have nots? Because what we like in college sports is that everybody has an opportunity to dream, right? Like and that's what I worry about. If the, Northern Arizona and Wichita States of the world and Western Michigans, and if those fan bases no longer think Southern Illinois and think they have an opportunity, and you start to lose them, it kills college sports. It really does. College sports are not just these few big schools. It's just not enough to sustain it. The dream of making it big from these smaller programs keeps them invested in watching the bigger programs too.
Jake Hawkins. Number one.
Yeah.
Someone stop the Tampa Bay Lightning from three-peating as Stanley Cup champions. Maybe hire John Cooper to be the next Red Wings coach. So much for the President's Trophy Florida Panthers. But on another note, NHL coverage on TNT is actually pretty good.
I think that's 2 takes in 1 there, Jake. Very sneaky way to do it.
2, I know the Warriors are good, loaded, and looking to get back to their championship ways. But come on, Mavericks. Make the Western Conference Finals competitive. Show us that Luka is the next big thing in the NBA. And 3, I propose this to help the Big Ten be a lot more competitive and interesting. Give the ACC Maryland and Rutgers, and we'll take Pittsburgh and Notre Dame. Tell me that wouldn't make things in the Big Ten more interesting.
If only life were that simple. But it would. Certainly for the Big Ten, it would be. The ACC would be like, I guess Maryland and the ACC still have that long-standing connection. But,
and would Notre Dame want to do it? That's always the question, right?
Absolutely. And John Cooper, by the way, who coached at Lansing Catholic Central 20 years ago, would be amazing if the Red Wings got him. That would be really cool.
Upper deck jerk guy. Number 1, college sports needs a plan moving forward. This Wild West is going to be an issue. 2, Big Ten football should have upper and lower divisions of 16 teams each and use relegation. And 3, the NBA seems to do fine without a true 5. Maybe Izzo knows this too.
It'll be interesting to see what Izzo does, and I think they're going to play. I'm going to tell you right now, the starting lineup for Tom Izzo next year, I think, is going to include Mady Sissoko. I think it's going to include Joey Hauser. It's going to include Malik Hall at 3. It'll be Jaden Akins at the 2, and it'll be A.J. Hoggard at the point. I think that's your starting 5. So we'll see what morphs as the game goes on. I think he'll start both halves that way because that gives Mady Sissoko minutes. It also gives Malik Hall and Joey Hauser time into 3 and 4 together, kind of guaranteed. The other thing I want to get on real quickly before we get out of here, I'm going to do a column on the sort of the division idea and what the best ways to go about this and some of the perils of it. And I talked about it a couple weeks ago in a hot take. But I love this idea from the Upper Deck Jerk guy and may borrow it to some degree because that is a way to do relegation, to be part of the upper and lower. And I don't know what the advantage in upper lower would be in terms of playing each other. You do need certain strength of schedule. So I don't know how that works and what it would create. And obviously he's talking about 16 teams here. But I do love just that concept. Now, there are a lot of things to sort out because you need to be rewarded for being in the upper division. Like, what's the advantage? If you're just playing harder teams and you're losing more games, is that really an advantage? But I do love the thought, and I'd love to pick his brain more and sort of think through myself on where that could actually go. Per usual, your hot takes were incredible. We appreciate all of them. Eric all the way through the Upper Deck Jerk guy. Outstanding stuff. We appreciate you on the quick turn after the Groovy Donut Twitter questions on Saturday. Thanks to Skymint. Go to skymint.com for location information and daily specials. They'll send them right to your inbox. Chances are you live within 30 minutes, if that, of a Skymint. There are 3 in the greater Lansing area. Thanks to Mark and Jay at North Coast Wealth Management. If you have investment questions, Mark and Jay are here for you. 248-626-2000. You can email Mark and Jay at info@northcoastwm.com. Let them know Couch in the Rube sent you for a free consultation. See if Mark and Jay at North Coast Wealth Management are a fit for you. Thanks to Midtown Brewing Company. Great place for a lot of things during the week, including a drink after work on a Monday. Good show, man.
Yeah, man.
Couch in the Rube.